people, welcome back to Uncovered. I'm here. I'm so excited. I am so excited.
I'm excited.
If you don't know, it's Miss Lauren Askevold, baby. She is an athletic trainer at Colorado. If y'all can see, we're on the buff.
We're on the buff.
You know.
This is where the team comes after practices. This is where we reunite after practices.
Chilling. I met her when she was with Coach Prime at Jackson State. And I remember, I want to tell this little story.
Yeah.
The first time that I went to Jackson State to cover a game, it was their spring game, the first HBCU spring game ever nationally televised, baby. Don't get
Period,
it.
boo.
Okay. And I was so nervous because obviously it's Coach Prime and it was my first HBCU game, and I was just like nervous. And I was like, okay. I'm on the field and I see one of the only other women, usually how that is. I'm there with a bunch of
men. And you could have probably spotted me like a sore
yeah. And I was like, oh, that's our athletic trainer. Let me go introduce myself. And I just remember you being so welcoming and just so sweet. And you were like, anything that you need, let me know. And I just feel like that's exactly how she was with this. I DM'd her on Instagram and she said to come to Boulder. So I'm here. I'm really excited to get to know a little bit more about you and your role here. But first off, I want to start, I think a lot of people know you from Jackson State with Coach Prime, but your journey started way before then. So I want you to kind of walk me through how we are here at Colorado.
Perfect. First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity because this is your own project, right?
Yes.
And I am in season 1.
Yeah, season 1, episode 3, baby.
Cool. Yeah, my favorite number is 3. Oh, girl, you knew. So my football, women in sports, being a female in athletics, I'm originally from Wisconsin, started school in Wisconsin at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, did my undergrad there. I would say my journey is not your typical journey. I know everybody has their own, but as far as where I started and how I started, it's very, very different. Yeah. I was bartending in college. Actually, I worked at the gym and I was bartending through school. And I worked at a yacht club and I couldn't wait to everybody around me was business, bankers, finance, lawyers, everyone. And I'm like, gosh, am I working at the right place? Because I was a healthcare major. So I was sports medicine, right? So I'm like, I'm never gonna meet anybody here to help me kind of network, right? Yeah. I networked with all these other people, but it was hard finding someone to network there in my profession. And all of a sudden one night, I was at the tiki bar, so I worked outside. We had a big TV, it was NBA Finals, and the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks sat down. He was a member at my yacht club, and he sat down at the tiki bar, and he brought another man with him. Well, I always knew what he drank, so I immediately just went and got the bottle of wine he drank and whatnot. The man he brought with him was their head athletic trainer, Mark Boff.
Oh.
I know, it was wow, this is my time, right? Yeah. So I sit down and so I start networking right away. The guy, I didn't know at first, the guy starts asking me questions, it was only those two and me. So we all were talking, watching the game, whatnot. And it was what do you do? What's your major? Giving him a little bit of background on myself. And he's like, I'm the head athletic trainer for the Bucks. I was like, wow.
Hello.
And he was like, would you ever be interested in doing an internship or volunteer work with us? And I was like, yeah. He's like, we actually have never had a female. It would be awesome if you could be our first female intern. And I was like, cool, let's do it. I couldn't turn it down. So I went back, talked to my program director, because at the time I was also I was a student, my rotation was with baseball. And they told me, well, you already have your rotation, you're gonna have to just do this on your own as it's not gonna count towards hours, it's not gonna count towards anything, it's just gonna, if you want it, and networking, right? And I was like, I couldn't turn it down, right? I was an intern with them for that season. That was the season of the OGs. We had Brandon Jennings, we had Drew Gooden, we had Monte Ellis, Mississippi, former Mississippian, I guess I should say. And so I remember though, I wanted to quit so bad because it was they wanted to put you through the ringer, right? I was doing, during games, I'm going to get lottery tickets and right before the game started. But what I noticed that they were doing is they were trying to earn my trust and see how kind of far I would go. Nothing ever where I would be you guys, I'm not doing that. It was just kind of okay. But
I'm ready to do what I'm here to do.
Exactly. But I knew what it would. Then my dad was like, don't you quit, don't you ever do that type of thing. And so what they were doing was trying to see how far I would go to get their trust. And then as soon as a couple games in and a couple practices in, it was, okay, now you can sit outside on the bench with us, behind the, you're a couple rows back in the chairs or whatnot. And it was, okay, now you can go on the court, stretch guys and stuff. So I had to understand the importance of it because it was a professional world. I didn't know why they were doing that to me. It was actually kind of cool. Me and my friend Callie, who she's also, shout out to her, she's a woman in sports too. She works with the G League with the Memphis Grizzly team. And so we were the first two female interns they had. They had to kind of change their whole you know, how guys came to the locker room, to like the training room and whatnot. So it was, but it was a great experience. Like those guys, it was Mark Boff and Scott Barthelama. They're my guys for life. I still keep in touch with them. I still like, they were my first network, really.
Yeah.
So, but because basketball was a sport I thought I wanted to work the whole time when I was in school. And then that internship though, I'm thankful for it and loved every minute of it, but it showed me that's not the sport I wanted to do.
And sometimes you need those experiences to show you what you don't want to do as much as what you want to.
And that's what I tell, like, you know, the girls that I mentor now, like, my girl Asia.
What's up, Asia?
What's up, Asia? Is that like there's some stuff in like with this profession that you don't want to do, or you learn like, okay, this is not the sport I want to work. This is not how I would run my training room. This is, you know, like different environments, different places that we've been at now that she's unfortunately been able to be with me at Jackson versus in here, that where she's already picking out her kind of, you know, nitpicking like, okay, this is the type of trainer I want to be. This is the type of trainer I don't want to be. This is the sport I want to work versus, yeah, no, I can't do football no more. You know what I mean, type thing. So fortunately here they get more experience. They get to work other sports, other camps to figure out kind of like other sports they would want to work. So that summer of 2013, I needed an internship for my schooling to be able to graduate in August. So I found an email. IMG Academy is probably now 2024. Most people know. Yeah. They had a Gatorade science lab down there, and our guy from Gatorade just happened to be like the kind of direct correlation to the IMG one too. So one of the Larry Sanders, who was on the Bucks at the time, the player, he went to IMG and trained during the off season. So he's like, I can make a phone call down there. So I was like, wow, I had no idea what the IMG Academy was. All I knew is I knew it was going to be enough hours to be able to get my diploma to sit for my BOC exam. So 3 weeks later, I get this call that I was accepted for IMG. I was one of the interns to go up there. So end of May of 2013, go down to IMG, pick up a car, bring as much stuff as I can with me because they were providing housing and stuff. And my dad drives down with me to Florida, Bradenton, Florida. So I was an intern from the summer of 2013, June to August. In August, took my BOC, didn't want to leave. They didn't have a position open for me. Bawled my eyes out, came home, drove back to Wisconsin. Found out they were like, let us know if you pass your exam. I passed my exam, and they hired me on full time as the head of girls soccer, and then I was an assistant to football at the IMG Academy. So that was the first year, 2013, that they were going to have a football program. This was the Heisman Trophy winner, Chris Winkie, was the head coach. We were working out of trailers. Now it's like better than most colleges down there, right? But at the time, we were just working on like dirty grass fields, and we were running out of trailers. So it was really cool. I got to be the first experience the first season there for IMG.
Well, I think that's something that you talked about is important because it happens so fast. And I feel like in this world, it
goes crazy.
Can happen so quick.
Crazy.
How do you make sure that you're prepared for every move? Because obviously, and we'll get to what happened after that and how you get here, but how did you make sure you were prepared to be like, I'm going and be ready?
I couldn't even walk for my graduation. They were like, I was supposed to graduate on a Saturday, but IMG needed me there the following Monday, like from Saturday to Monday. And I was like, yeah. So I moved out of my apartment on Monday and just drove back to my hometown, which was 2.5 hours, and then drove the 21 hours to Florida with my parents. And it was just like my whole life, and like, I guess my outlook on that and like how to be ready is just like you got to make the sacrifice. You got to pick up and go because you never know when that call is going to come, right? Like even when I got the call from Coach Prime, how do you say, you know, I had just gotten back to Florida where I wanted to be and wanted to live because I loved Florida so much. But he says, my interview with him 2 minutes long, and he says, okay, come be my trainer. And I go, where? Because I had no idea where I was going. I was like, where? And he goes, Jackson, Mississippi. And I said, mind you, I had just gotten back to Florida like 10 months. Yeah. And I've been living there for like 10 months, and he says, Jackson, Mississippi, and I said, like, but you can't say no. I always wanted to work Division I football. It was a dream of mine. I wanted to work Power 5 Division I football. Here I am now. But at the time, it was like I knew that was a stepping stone for me. And like you said, in sports, everything is a stepping stone for us. Yeah. Especially being a woman, you know, being the minority or woman, and now I'm going to an HBCU. I'm a white woman working in a male-dominant environment, and like I couldn't say no. I really wasn't thinking of it like that at the time. They didn't really make it that important, like an importance to me in my mind, until Coach was like, "This is big. Like this is big for you too." But I just knew I couldn't, you can't pass up an opportunity like that, especially when I'm like, oh my God, it's all unfolding. Like everything is just unfolding, like this is God's call, I have to answer type of thing.
How hard was it for you to leave Florida? Because I know in that moment it's probably like, Coach Prime just called me, yay, but.
Yeah, and they only gave me like 3 weeks. So like, it was so hard. It was so hard. Because like I said, I had just come from Birmingham. So I was at IMG for 6 years, or 6 seasons, from 2013 to 2018, and I knew I just needed something different. I was like, it's time to move on. You know, when you're somewhere, you can kind of feel like when your time is like ready to go. You're like, okay, I'm getting stale. I'm not getting better. IMG is a great place. You learn so much. They gave me so many opportunities. But we kind of called it like a stepping stone. I was like an oddball. I stayed for 5 years and like no one ever did that. It was like a one and done, 2 years and go type of thing. So then I had moved to Birmingham. I was in a startup league called the AAF. It was a startup football league. So I took that opportunity, got that job, went there. So when I was in Birmingham, I didn't realize how much I was gonna like miss Florida, and so that was my goal. I was like, I got to get back to Florida. I got to get back to Florida. All my friends from IMG who I worked, all of my coworkers. So my mind was just like, get back to Florida, you know, and especially after the league folded. This is probably where my career kind of like took another like speed bump. So the guy who hired me is Mayfield Armstrong. He's like an OG in the athletic training world, right? He did NFL. He was the first trainer for NFL Europe over when they did that like way back when. He organized the whole thing for the sports medicine department. So me not knowing who this man is and not knowing like, wow, he's actually a great resource for me now. Like I'm telling you, God, right? Like he places these people in your life and you have no idea until you're like, whoa.
You don't know until like years later where you're like, oh.
Wow, he was that big of an OG in this athletic training world, right? Yeah. So I get, so Mayfield, he puts me at a high school in the Birmingham area, Minor High School, shout out to Minor High School. No, they changed my life. Those kids changed my life. I'm in the trenches. We didn't have anything. Our field had holes in it. The guys' helmets never been refurbed. They're crushed from years previous. Guys just hand-me-downs. Like it was incredible. But that year, our team like did something like that the school had never done before. Yeah. So like that just meant a lot too, right? Like every team I've been on, like IMG, I only lost 3 games there ever in my 6 seasons. Like I go to the AAF, like we were winning. The 4 games I think we played until it folded.
Still winning.
I'm 0 for 2 for startup leagues, by the way. And then Minor High School, they did something great, and they just changed me. Like the town, my little water girls at the time there. Shout out to Sam, Master P, and Jade. They changed my, like, I don't know, as much as I changed their lives, they say, they changed mine. So the XFL started to come back in 2020, and so I was in Birmingham. I was like, as much as I love it here and as much as these guys were great, like I wanted to get back to Florida. That was my only,
Florida
I had
or bus, baby. Like I don't know what y'all want from me.
I'm getting out of here. So I call one of my kids. He wasn't actually one of my athletes. He was a basketball player, but like JM, shout out to JM too. Just always injured, so always in the training room. You know, you just build a relationship with him. Sorry, JM.
Sorry, babe.
He knows. His dad was like, well, I know the guy starting the XFL. Oh my God, what? Oliver Luck. So one morning I wake up, he's like, Lauren, just don't worry about it. I got you. Where do you want to go? I said, Tampa. He said, all right. The next morning I wake up and I get a text message from Oliver Luck. Like, right, what?
Yeah.
Cool.
Good morning, hello.
So he's like, hey, Lauren, Jed, mentioned that you want to get back to Florida. You want to work football. You want to stay in football. We're hiring trainers for the XFL. Like, send me your resume, whatever. And he told me to pick a team, and then, cool, I picked Tampa.
Of course,
I get back to
Florida, baby. We're not.
So I get back to Florida in the end of 2019, November 2019, start the XFL, and that was a whole nother thing. Like, I just moved. I got back down to Florida in December of 2019. Well, you guys all know 2020 was a nightmare for everybody.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah, man. XFL shuts down. So like I said, I'm 0 for 2 for startup leagues.
That's okay.
We will not be doing any more startup leagues. Not in my life. They were fun, but no more startup leagues. But I was having so much fun. Like the XFL was so much fun. The people were great. they were like, I can't say enough about the organization at the time. Like everything was great. It's just, it was just one of those unfortunate events, right? AAF folded because it wasn't funded correctly, but like XFL was just unfortunately COVID, which has hit everybody. Right. So, that folds. I take like the 6 whatever months, find out that high school sports are going to start back up in Florida. Florida, I think, was just wilding during COVID. Like they didn't.
Florida's always wild.
They're always wild.
Like, let's be so for real.
I'm outreach again. I work for a PT clinic. They take me to a high school in Tampa, Bloomingdale, which again we went 12-1 that year. Like every team I've been in has just been like
so basically
successful.
My girl's a winner. If y'all want to
all we do is win over here.
There we go.
So we go 12-1 again, special because that school had never done it. So like that was fun, right? And then so we win, and then I get a call. And y'all, clean up your social media, talk well on social media. You never know what will come on social media because that's what happened to me. I'm here because of social media.
Yeah.
Essentially with Prime, I've worked really hard.
So important.
I've worked really hard.
Yeah,
right?
it's so important.
So in December of 2020, a tweet goes out. Nicole Lynn, actually, she was working for Young Money at the time. She put a tweet out, is there any females who would like, athletic trainers who would like to work Division I football? And so like everyone starts tagging me in it, and you know, I see it, so I'm like, okay, like, yeah. And she's like, send me your resume, DM me your resume. So but a bunch of my boys from IMG who now are in the NFL are tagging me in it too, and they're DMing her because they may have, may have been her clients or whatnot.
Yeah.
Through, she was an agent, you guys know her now. She's a huge woman in sports. Shout out to her. But so she DMs me, she's like, hey, you've been tagged in this, like whatnot, blah, blah, blah. Would you mind sending me, are you interested? Would you mind sending me your resume? I'm like, sure. This is December 11th. I'll never forget it. December 14th. I'm getting ready to go to the high school. We're in playoffs. So I'm getting ready to go to practice, and I get a call, and it's like, is this Lauren? And I'm like, who's this? And he's like, this is Ray and Coach Prime. And I'm like,
you're like
Deion
right.
Sanders?
Bye.
Yeah, I'm like Deion Sanders? He goes,
nice joke.
What other Deion Sanders, or whatever Coach Prime do you know? I'm like, whoa, okay. I think he tells everyone like, yeah, Lauren's interview only lasted a 2-minute phone call, didn't even meet her in person, and hired her on spot. So he goes,
girl, what did you say?
Right, so this still stands true today, because it's still a rule that like he will say in our team meeting, right? He goes, what's your, tell us like how you are as an athletic trainer. What do you believe in? I'm like, Coach, listen, like, there's a bunch of fancy stuff out there nowadays. There's a bunch of, I said, but I'm a little old school. I know what the human body can hold or can do. And honestly, if there's no bone or blood, like when on that field, that kid can keep going. And he was like, come on. He's like, come work for me in Jackson. So, I go, and I'm like, okay. I said, when are we going? He's like, January 4th. I'm like, mind you, it's December 14th. I'm in a wedding, my best friend's wedding. I'm like in it like a week, December 20th, I think. So I'm like, my life, and then Christmas, the holidays and whatnot. So I'm like, my life is moving really fast, right?
Fast.
Drive back down to Florida, load up a U-Haul, drive to Mississippi, get there by January 4th, because the team was checking in, coach was checking in, and I was meeting everybody in person. Like I had never met anybody. I had never met. So I get to Jackson, and in 2021, and that's where we kicked off. We had the spring season because they were coming off COVID. So they didn't get to have a football season in the fall. Our whole time in Jackson, right? Like me and coach went through a lot, right? Whole team went through a lot. But so then when the decision came that he was coming here, there's all those rumors, everyone's all over the place. Is he going to Auburn? Is he going to USF? Is he going, like what school is he going to? Because everyone knew, like once we went, first year we went 12-1, second year we went 12-1. We lost both games in the
We're not going to even.
Yeah, we won't even talk about that. We good. Everyone like, oh, you're going with him. You're going with him. And I was like, I have no idea. Like, he doesn't ask. You never want to assume, right?
Right.
People don't want to just assume, but like, I was hoping I was going to go.
So when did that conversation happen? Did you just make it a point to ask, or?
Literally, so like, I'm freaking, I'm a worrywart. So like, everyone's like, I'm like, I have no idea if I'm going. Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm getting nervous. You know what I mean? I don't know what my plans are. Coach had already asked me if you could bring 2 students with you, who would you bring? So I'm like, okay, like, right? Like, I have to be going if he's asking me what students I would bring of mine. I tell them the 2 students, loyalty, I'm deep into loyalty. So I bring the 2 that have been with me the longest as a fair shot, right? So the Wednesday we're about to leave for Celebration Bowl, the second 2022.
Yeah.
I'm like, just have to excuse my French. I just got to drop my nuts. So I'm working on his foot. I'm literally like, I'm working on his foot, and we're getting ready to get on the bus to go to the airport. And I'm like, Coach, I gotta ask you something, because this could be the last few days I'm with you. I'm like, so what's my plan? Like, am I staying here and then
you're going?
Or like, and then like it's been real, because like, I just want to make sure like I'm aware of the situation, just because like I don't know if I can stay here without you. You know what I mean? Like all I knew was the prime era in Jackson. He looks at me and goes, baby, like, I can't go there without you. Like, I can't go there without you. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, whew. Thank God. He's like, thank God I'm going, right? Jackson molded me into the trainer I was. I was the only trainer for 120 football players. So coach looked at me after our first year. I had students my first year, but after that 2021 spring season. But he looked at me and he was like, you got to get a team. Like, you can't do this yourself, right? And I couldn't. I physically couldn't. So shout out to my students from 2021 to 2023, Asia back here in the background. My students, I taught them how to tape ankles, wrists, hands, fingers. I taught them how to stretch guys. I taught them how to do basic ankle rehab, just to help, like common injuries, just the basis of it to help us, right? Like field setup, I taught them how to field set up, gave them the ins and outs, gave them little tips and tricks to make field setup easier.
How did that work for you, transitioning from like, okay, I'm here doing my job in this position, to going from having to do your job and also be a teacher at the same time?
It was really hard, because on top of all that was, coach got he had his complications in it.
Right.
So I'm trying to look out for him too, because like in Jackson we are such a tight-knit family as far as like a football program. Like, we were so close, right? So I wanted to make sure I was there for him for all of it, and then then you're managing a football team, or trying to, and then you're trying to like, luckily Mark helped me a lot with my students during that time. Like, I taught them the basics of athletic training, and like they were really quick learners. Here's the blueprint, like, just do it and make sure the job gets done. I don't care how it gets done, just make sure it gets done, and like at your best ability. And there'd be days I'd be probably freaking out on them. They'll tell you, like, I probably sent them home 100 times, and they're like, everyone individually like had to send home at least once or twice, but like I didn't care how it got done, just get it done. And like, just know that we're representing Jackson State, and we're representing Coach Prime and as this football program. And they knew how important that was, especially at the time, right? Like, we blew up, or the media blew up, and everyone was so bought in. All my students are so bought in, but it's like I poured out to them as much as they poured into me, right? Like, because it was cup empty at that point. Like,
I'm sure.
All of us were living on edge, at like just running on fumes during this time, and just there in general, right? Like, HBCUs deserve the same amount of resources as a regular Division I, FBS Division I football, Power 5 does.
Correct.
A lot of great football players come out of HBCUs. I mean, you see our guys here: Cam Silman, Shador, Shiloh, Tyler Brown, Jeremiah Brown. So we didn't have a lot of resources, so we had to make do with what we had. And like my students did it at the best ability. I did it at my best ability. We were trying to, provide what we could for them, because the guys deserved it. And also to like, we were up on this pedestal, and we had to stay up there with Prime. Prime's doing it for everybody. Prime's he's uplifting everybody, and we had to make sure that we were on board and we were doing the same thing that he was trying to do. And that was what was really cool about Jackson, is that we all were. And that's what made us so close, and that's what made those years like special. Like, we always joke, like, we need a 30 for 30 on that, because like
it was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on.
Do you feel like, did the media attention impact the way that you guys had to do your job at all?
That was really hard. That was really, really hard, because like in a sports medicine world, right? Like my job is to protect that student athlete, right? Like, from a medical standpoint, from an injury standpoint, from a confidentiality standpoint, right? And so like, and I think, and shout out to Coach for this too, is that it's really, he always shined me and my like staff in such a positive light, but it was a different world. Because an athletic trainers are never in the media. Athletic trainers are never in a spotlight. Athletic trainers aren't ever showcased by their head coach, as far as like what they do from day to day, as far as like, oh, these are the athletes we help, or as long as like there's as far as like there's cameras in the training room, which I mean, here we've really had to cut down, but in Jackson it was really open, because it was, I don't want to say free for all, but it really was, because and I wasn't used to that, because I was like, because in school you're taught like, oh, you can't
don't show that ankle.
Don't show that face, don't show this. But like, I think it was like it was an inside that kind of changed like the sport, or is evolving into a sports medicine world too, is because it's like, hey y'all, like we work hard every single day as athletic trainers. We are here before the athletes, we are here with the athletes, we are here after the athletes, we are here. We have no offense, the worst schedule in sports world, right? But like, people don't, I mean, I know there's people in this world that appreciate what we do, but I don't think they understand what we do. And then but coach really like started to kind of put us on, like bring us up with that. And, you know, there's people that don't agree with it. There's people that's like, oh, like there shouldn't be cameras on injured athletes. There shouldn't be cameras like they're doing rehab. There shouldn't, but like that really, why? If the athlete's okay with it and they sign off and they, you know, like why not? Like they should be showcase how hard they're working behind scenes too when they're trying, you know, coming back from an injury.
Getting back,
And shit, like how hard we work. Like, we have in the summer right now. I mean, like it should be easier, right? But we work. We get here at 6 a.m. and we don't leave till 5 p.m.
Yeah, I feel like the vision that people have of athletic trainers is when somebody gets hurt on the field, it's like, here comes the athletic trainer, Lauren. She's coming out. She's gonna help them off the field, and then it's like, all right, Lauren. Like,
but they they don't see, and then they see you hand out the water.
The water.
You know what I mean? You're the water girl, the hydration specialist. But they don't know that there's a lot more that goes like with that. You know. Yeah, and it's funny now with the team with a Coach Prime, you'll never see us run out on the field because he literally tells in the team meeting this time. He said, like we're not coming out there for you. Get off that field because like like it's I feel like, I mean obviously if there's bone or blood, we're coming out there. We're coming to stay.
She's coming out there.
We're sitting out there.
We're sitting.
I'm coming. I'm not like neglecting them. But like, you know, he wants football is a game of toughness too. You know, mental and physical. So it's like if you're out there hitting guys or if you're out there getting hit, like we know injuries are going to happen. It comes with the game, but it's also like, all right, you know, like. Get back up on your feet, you know, the kind of like the fall 7, get back up 8 type of thing. Yeah. So, but that's, you know, that's Coach Prime philosophy. That's Coach Prime's, that's what comes with him. And he tells the guys that. He's like, we're not coming out there. You're going to get up and you're going to get them off that field. And then, you know, we'll make sure you're okay type of thing. So
what, if you could describe, if you can, is it like working for Coach Prime?
It's actually, okay, so this is a really great question. It's a really great question because I ask, like the other trainers I work with now, I ask them like, how is it working with, that have worked with other football coaches and whatnot. I'm like, how do you guys like feel about it? It's actually, I don't want to, like, I don't want to downplay this. I want to say it's easy. From an athletic training standpoint, it is so easy because he is and from an athlete perspective too, is like, he is all about opportunity, right? Yeah. He is next man up. Cause like, you know, usually from athletic trainers or from other coaches and stuff, you get him back, he got hurt Monday, we need him for the game back Saturday. Sometimes that's impossible. Sometimes you can't do that. And Coach Prime is, all right, he's hurt, you know, has this conversation with the athlete, cool, get better, listen to what they say, do what you gotta do, make sure you're on time for treatment, you know, put in the extra work for treatment to try to get back. We need you back on the field, but he's a next man up guy. Yeah. He is all about opportunity. He gives, so like our starting receiver, say it goes down. The next receiver behind him, wide receiver 2, better know what the hell he's doing because he's going. Yeah. It is what it is. And so like from a pressure and like getting guys back on the field from an athletic training standpoint, man. Yeah. Super easy. I'm sure that gives you like, oh my gosh, sense of relief too. Yeah. And I think you could ask the other trainers that are here right now is that like, they feel the same way. They've been under pressure with coaches who have been like, get this guy back. I've had coaches like, I need this guy this weekend. I'm sorry. I'll do the best I can, but I can't. But no, Coach Prime is, nope, next man up, let's go. Yeah. So again, relieves us, right? Sense of relief for us. The athlete behind them, cool, opportunity, go. Yeah. And that's it. And so, and then it just like as a whole, like as an individual working for Coach Prime, so fun. I mean, like you see it. Yeah. Like what you guys see is what you get. Every day, for sure. Every day, the media, the video, you know, the well-off videos, the kids' YouTube videos, like what you guys see is what you get. We are not hiding anything. Yeah. Like, and how you see coaches on the field, how you see coach behind scenes is who he is. Like he's not hiding anything from the world. He's not hiding who he is. He's not, you know, like, that's just really what you get. What you see is what you get. And so I'm fortunate enough to work with him. That's the first question I think everyone asks is like, how it is working for him. It's fun. It's exciting. You don't know. Every day brings something new. Literally every day brings something new with him. It's so comfortable. It's family now at that point. You know, like with the sons here too, it makes it way more fun. His sister's here, his nephews, his nieces, his older son is here. Yeah. So it is just one big happy family. And like, I think he prides himself on like the family feel and whatnot. So it's never really uncomfortable. Now he'll put you in uncomfortable situations to grow, maybe and challenge you. And so, like I was, you know, when he was going through all that stuff in Mississippi, I'd never been through all that stuff. Yeah. I'm like, what? Or I had never been the only trainer for a football team. My first one in football, Division I football. Yeah. Like, so, you know, he gave me a lot of opportunities, a lot of grounds to grow. And I think so when he sees that you can live up to that challenge, he, you know what I mean? And he can put his trust in you and you're going to get the job done at a high functioning level. It just, he's going to keep blessing you. Yeah. Because that's what all he's done for me is like, it's just been blessing after blessing, elevation after elevation. So it's been real cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the biggest transition that you had to make from Jackson State to here?
Well, yeah, that's a big question. That's a big question. For me personally, it was, I was the head trainer in Jackson, right? My goal was never to be a head trainer in a Division I level. I just wanted to be a football trainer in Power 5 FBS level. So coming here, I knew I wasn't going to be the head, which was okay. Like again, like my goal was just to work FBS Power 5 football. And here I am. It's a dream. But anyways, being in a role to where I was making decisions and kind of like everyone's like person where they relied on, who they came for things, asked questions, I always had the answer type of thing. And now coming to a new environment where I'm not the head, I'm trying to learn just like they are, our surroundings, how the medical, how behind the scenes medical works here, how our medical system works. That was like the biggest challenge for me because now I'm not the head. I don't know anything. I'm trying to help coaches. I'm trying to help their kids. I'm trying to help their families, you know, and I don't have any answers. Our head athletic trainer position open, and, you know, and it was a big conversation. It was, are you going to go for it or you're not? And I knew as much as I wanted to, right? And it's money. It's more money. We all love it.
We love more money.
I knew at the level that he wants me to take care of, like, you know, I still work on him every day, 3 times a day, 2-3 times a day. And then kind of like on call for Shador and Shiloh when they need something, is that I knew I couldn't be the head and then still give them the quality of care that they need and they expect from me. So it was kind of a decision I had to make. Like, I mean, I'm calling all over. I'm calling my mentors, my family, everybody being like, do I apply? Do I not? Because, you know, like, just taking care, I love taking care of them. Like I do. I really appreciate my relationships I've built with them because of the care I've provided for the Sanders family. So to me, when that decision came, it was no, because I can't give my time to them like they expect. And especially because Coach was still, like when we got here, Coach was still having some health complications that we had to, you know, take care of. And I knew that I'd rather be by his side, you know what I mean, and be behind him with all that, because it is, you know, everything he went through was pretty scary. So I'd rather be right there behind him and supporting him, but also like working with the team, but really be there for him because that's what ultimately has brought me here, right? He has. Yeah. He's elevated
me.
And
I feel like that's big of you because in that moment, it would be really easy to be like, I can do it all.
Exactly.
I want more money, I want this position, and I can do it all. But to be able to
lock in blindfold with him or like blinders on with him. And that's where I knew I was probably going to do it for the wrong reasons, is when I knew like, I've never, because just so the world knows, athletic trainers don't make jack. For the hours we work and the work that we put in, we do not make the money that you guys all probably think we make. And so that's when I knew, like, okay, take a step back, because I've never done what I've done for the money. They've always said, you know, like I remember being in school, getting accepted into my program, and it was, okay, you have to love what you do because you do not get compensated. You get compensated in other ways, right? Because like you get to see the athlete back on the field. You get to work with, you get you get gear, you get the gear, whatever, who cares about it? Yeah. You get to travel, you get to do all this thing. Yeah, this is nice, right? No. Shout out to Schmitty. And I knew when it was coming down to it, because Boulder's expensive to live in too, right? But I knew when I was talking about money in my mind, like when I've heard like, well, it's more money. I knew like, okay, wait, take a step back. Because you've never done this for money. You've always done it for your passion, my love for athletic training, my love for my student athletes. So that was a big decision of trying to just navigate like whether I wanted to be in charge again, because I was having such a difficult time, like not being able to be the leader versus just being able to take care of Prime. And ultimately I chose his health, my time with him, right? Because like, I feel like that's way more important than saying I have a title of head athletic trainer. To me, the titles don't matter for me.
Take me through the moment. You have rehabbed a guy back to health.
Right.
It is his first snap back on the field. Are you nervous, crying? What are these emotions when you're watching him go the first time?
Happiness, just like over fulfillment of joy and happiness. Like, I think there's been plenty of times I have tears in my eyes, or I'm going like this on the sideline, like trying to stop the tears, but nervous, right? Because like, oh crap, like, you know, Shiloh posts his ACL, like his first snap back. I was like, whew, like super nervous, but he's a freak, right? Like the way he healed, the way his process went. Shiloh's just a freak. Like he ultimately is a freak athlete. And so like I was super nervous, but then I was like, after that first snap and you see like they were successful or like everything went well, you're like, okay, I can breathe. And then like emotion just floods you. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I did that. I helped them, or like, it's not even about you, it's about him. Like he's actually back to doing what they love. You know, they're back to doing what they love to do. Like that's ultimately why we do what we do, why I do what I do. I love to see the guys be able to play back at their top level, the top level that they were playing at. It's really like it's hard to explain, because until you're like an athletic trainer and you do that, it's like you just don't, like, it's hard to be like try to express that emotion, I guess, and like how it is. Like it just hits you. Like I've cried, I've been nervous, I've probably been mad at one point because like maybe the play didn't go as I wanted to, like on their first snap back or whatnot. But no, it's like, if you're an athletic trainer, and you guys know what I mean, it's really why you do what you do, because that is like, there's no better, like, screw the long day, screw the long hours, the lack of pay, whatever, but because that feeling right there is everything and more. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Other than that, because I can see your face lighting up when you talk about that.
It's cool.
What do you think is your favorite part of your job, or most fulfilling for you?
Most fulfilling. I don't know if it's like, it's not the feeling of like want, right? Because everyone like loves to feel wanted, and if you don't, then you're a liar.
Valid facts.
Facts. It's just like the feeling of like playing like an important role in someone's life. Like our guys, they're away from their families, they're away from their like older sisters, you know, like they're away from their aunties, they're away from this. And like when I was at IMG, I was like, there was like high school kids thousands of miles away from home, and I was like, my nickname there was Mama Lo. Like I was, you know, Mama Lauren. I was that, and it's just like, it's those building those relationships. Because like I said, to touch back on like what we said about why I'm here with Prime, like Prime reached out to some of my guys in the league to figure out like if I was the real deal, or if I was just like some chick off the streets trying to get a job in football. So it's the relationship I built. Like I think IMG, the years I was there, we now have 27 guys, I think, in the NFL, and I still talk to probably 27 guys that still in the NFL. So it's that feeling of like the role that I've played in their lives that makes me like still important to them, enough to pick up my phone call, enough to text me back, enough to say like, hey Lo, I'm thinking of you, or hey, you know, like happy birthdays, like the little stuff where you never know like the impact that you're gonna have on one of their lives to keep that relationship the rest of your life. And in this world, like, you know, the sports world, it's so small. It's such a big,
it's like one notch away from everybody.
Literally, a phone call. Like I could be like talking to you, we probably know the same person, we don't even know yet. They're both in our phone. So, and it's like, it's such a large part of the world, but it's so, when you're in it, it's so small. And like, so again, never burning those bridges, always treating people, you know, with the utmost respect. The relationships I built have been the most important part for me.
I love it. We could keep going for probably another hour, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up because she's busybody. Why do you feel it's important for you to be uncovered?
Wow. Hit me with that one, huh? I think because there's not many athletic trainers that will get up and come forward and do this because of the position that we are in. Like we spoke about before, is that like we are about protecting the athlete, protecting the student athlete, protecting, you know, the confidentiality, the HIPAA, all that plays a part. But we don't get enough, as far as I'm concerned, enough recognition, the recognition that we deserve. Yeah. And so, again, I appreciate you. Thank you for this spotlight, to putting me on this pedestal on your first personal project. Thank you. That's so cool that you're doing this. Yeah. And for you to see a woman, to see like, wow, these people really do a lot behind scenes. Like she does do a lot. Like, I mean, you saw me at the spring game. That was my first encounterment with you. It was head chopped off. I mean, you saw me every direction, right? Like a chicken with her head chopped off. I'm going all over the place. And like, it's just, I think it's important for healthcare professionals, athletic trainers, the support staff to get an opportunity to speak on their journeys and whatnot, because we all work with athletes every day, the coolest athletes in the world, you know, like from like at IMG, I was working with a 7-year-old all the way up into, you know, a guy going right, an NFL player, you know, Brian Balaga, for to just name one. So to be able to share our stories and to say like, we're cool ass people. Like, you know what I mean? Like we get to do this every day. No day looks the same. Every day's different because you don't know what injury is going to happen. You pray that none happen, but job security. But like, shout out to job security. But like, we do have a cool profession, and I don't think it gets spotlighted enough because of the fear of, you know, because we are here to protect the student athlete and whatnot, but like our athletes are our biggest fans, just like we're their biggest fans. They want to see us do well. They all don't know our stories, you know, they get to know us and whatever our stories, but it's cool to be able to actually showcase what we've done, or what I've done, what other athletic trainers have done, and what we do as a profession. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So oh my God. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no
All right,
problem.
y'all. We'll see y'all on the next episode of Uncovered. Thank you.